Hello students, welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing on the topic tourism, right? In our last video we looked at some terms relating to the topic tourism, and we also looked at some of the factors that influence the development of tourism in the Caribbean. Today we will be looking at some more topics relating to tourism. We know that tourism is one of those popular topics for students sitting their social studies examination. If you have looked at a social studies past paper, you'll see section C, where there are three options for students to choose one from to write their essays on, right? And students love to write that tourism essay, right, to gain that 20 marks. So I am going to help you or assist you in whatever way I can to help in your preparation for your tourism essay if you choose to do that option. All right, so we're going to begin now. So in this lesson we will be looking at some factors which have influenced the development of tourism in supply countries, and we also going to define the term supply or source country. We will be also looking at ways in which the residents may show a positive and a negative attitude towards tourists, right? So what are some of the factors that influence the development of tourism in the supply or the source country? Now you must be wondering, Miss, what do you mean by supply or source country? When we speak about the supply country, or CXC may use the term source country, we are referring to the areas, the countries from which the tourist comes from. Some of these countries are Canada, England, USA, or Europe, etc. Now, there are a number of factors in these supply countries that helps the tourists to make the decision on or to decide on which destination they're going to choose to spend their vacation in, right? And some of these factors are accessibility, climate, exchange rate, marketing, and promotion. Now, there are a number of factors in the supply or the source country which influences tourists to visit Caribbean destinations. And as we mentioned before, factors such as accessibility, promotion, marketing, etc. are some of the factors in the countries that the tourists they are coming from that will help them to make their decision on which destination they want to visit for their vacation. Now we're going to look at these factors individually, and the first one we're going to look at is accessibility. Most times tourists prefer to travel to a destination, right, which is easily accessible and where the cost of transportation is relatively low, meaning that they don't want to spend a lot of money to move from one destination to another or from one location to another, right? So before traveling to a Caribbean destination, the tourists usually consider a number of factors. So they sit down as a family or as an individual and they look at these factors, and these factors will assist them in making the decision to travel to a Caribbean destination. So some of these factors are the tourists would consider the cost of travel. So is it expensive to travel to a Caribbean destination from the supply country? They take that into consideration. They also think about the distance from their country and length of travel time. So how far is the Caribbean destination that they want to visit from their source country or where they live? They also think about reliability and availability. They also think about the visa requirements. Will they need a visa to visit that Caribbean destination, or they just need their passport to visit the destination. Another factor that they will take into consideration is the number of connecting flights, if any, that they will have to take. Because sometimes, you have persons who are not so fascinated with traveling on planes. So if the destination will require them to do a number of connecting flights, they will resist from visiting that destination. Right? So these are just some of the factors that a tourist visiting from a source country or from a supply country will take into consideration before visiting a Caribbean destination. All right, before I move on to our next factor that influences the development of tourism in the supply or the source country, I want to take this opportunity to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, like, and share this video. So if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please take the few seconds and do so. If you have already subscribed, I want to say a big thank you. So climate is another factor that influences the development of tourism in the supply or the source country. So did you know, a fun fact, did you know that the Caribbean has a tropical marine climate all year round? Yes, we do, right? So places such as North America and Europe experience the different seasons, and sometimes in these countries it gets very cold during the winter. So oftentimes these countries get very cold and tourists often flocks the Caribbean, yes, in the winter months to escape the cold, which limits their movements and recreational activities. So climate is another factor that influences a tourist from the supply country to visit a Caribbean destination. So they love our tropical climate, especially during the winter time in their country. Another factor is exchange rate. And when we talk about exchange rate, we're talking about money, right? So you must be wondering, how does exchange rate influences a tourist to visit a Caribbean destination? Well, the value of the currency of industrialized countries such as Canada and the USA is much higher than currencies in developing countries such as the Caribbean region, right? And this is one of the main reasons why most tourists from the source country may choose to visit a Caribbean destination. And it is relatively cheap and affordable to vacation in the Caribbean. Another factor that tourists takes into consideration when visiting or deciding which Caribbean destination they want to visit for their vacation is marketing and promotion. So it is very important that governments across the Caribbean region, right, continue to market the region as the destination of choice, the best destination for tourists to visit. Effective promotion and marketing campaigns will appeal to the tourists and can help to increase the number of visitors to that destination. So organizations, agencies, tourism boards, and the Caribbean tourism organizations usually market the different destinations using both print and electronic media. And sometimes when there are events, significant events taking place in other regions outside the Caribbean, we will see where tourism boards would visit or send representatives to those countries to promote their country or to promote their tourism brand. All right. So now we're going to look at interaction between tourists and residents. And when we talk about the interaction, it can be positive, it can be negative. So we will be looking at both. Let me ask you this question, students. Have you ever had the opportunity of interacting with a tourist, whether in your community or in your country? What was that interaction like? Was it a positive one? Was it a negative one? maybe both. All right. But in this part of the lesson, we'll be looking at interaction between tourists and residents. Now, when we talk about interaction between tourists and residents, we are referring to the quality or the type of relationship between tourists and residents. And this contributes to the type of interaction or the type of relationship that tourists and residents have contributes to both the tourist experience and perception of the visited destination, right? So it is important that residents and tourists enjoy a cordial relationship. What does that mean? It means that residents must therefore be involved and given an active role in the planning and management of tourism policies. But we are seeing where this type of policy is lacking in some Caribbean countries. So residents are left out when it comes to planning policies for tourism in the region. So if the tourists they are uncomfortable, they visit a Caribbean destination, and after interacting with residents or based on how they see residents behaving, they feel uncomfortable, they will not return, as and they will also share their unfavorable experience with others and also on social media. And we know that we do not want, right, this type of advertisement for Caribbean destination, especially on social media, because it reaches a large amount of people, right? And this may result in a decline in the number of visitors to the country, right? And we know that Caribbean destinations, we depend heavily on the tourism sector in order for our economy to continue bloom or continue developing. All right. Now, what are some of the positive attitudes that is sometimes displayed by residents towards tourists? And some of these attitudes include, and you may have some experience with a tourist, interacting with a tourist before, and these are some of the positive attitudes that you also display. And some of these attitudes are residents sometimes display great customer service skills when interacting with tourists. They are friendly, they are helpful, they are courteous, and they are also kind. They engage in positive conversations with the aim of promoting Jamaica or the Caribbean as a destination of choice for tourists. And they will sometimes teach them our culture, example, our language. In Jamaica, we will find Jamaicans teaching tourists our patois, right? Our music, our reggae music, our dancehall music. They will teach them the different dances, etc. Right? And now, on the other hand, there can also be negative interaction or negative attitude that is sometimes displayed by residents towards tourists. And some of these negative attitudes include, and you may have seen some of them, right? Sexually assaulting or harassing the tourists, stealing from them, overcharging the tourists, or making unkind comments aimed at intimidating the tourists, right? So, whenever you come in contact with a tourist, ensure that you will leave a remarkable impact on that tourist, a positive one, display positive attitude that will influence the tourists to promote the Caribbean as the destination of choice. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, if you love this video, if you want to see more videos, subscribe, like, and share this channel. Let me help you in your social studies preparation for your upcoming examination. And I assure you that you will be thanking me at the end of your examination when you have received that grade 1. Continue watching my videos, and if you have subscribed already, a big thank you to you. Share the video with others and let them know that this channel will assist them greatly in their preparation for their examination.